What's up, YouTube? So, sorry for the lack of videos lately. I've been busy with a lot of things. Not really an excuse, but hey, it is what it is. I'm back for now, so let's get into some of this information. Yesterday and today, a lot of information was dropped via Game Informer, and today, instead of making, I guess, small videos for each topic, I'm just going to do like a summary of everything that we know so far. So I'm just going to get into it and hopefully keep it kind of short so you don't have to watch like, 800 hours worth of videos to get the basic of what was released, I guess. So to start, the level cap has been raised to 40. However, there is no more light level, so it's all going to be XP based, which is really awesome. And is what it does is it saves those solo players or the casuals, the weekend warriors. It allows them to still grind content, but they don't have to, they're not stuck on gear pieces or waiting for RNGs to praise them with gear to get them to the correct level or whatever. Cryptarch rewards from engrams are now more in line with the type of engram you got. So if you got a legendary, expect a legendary. If you got a blue, expect a blue. So on and so on. So apparently the second half of the Taken King starts once you reach endgame. So I assume once you reach the actual endgame part, there's like a whole slew of content, and I'm pretty sure that's the Dreadnought. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. It's supposed to be a huge place, but then again, you can't use your Sparrow, so how big is it actually? We'll have to wait and see. We know there's going to be some Twitch reveals, so we'll have to see what those are all about. Your Ghost can now scan objects to offer more insight into the world's lore. So basically, it's kind of your way of looking up the Grimoire cards. One of the examples is, if you scan like a soldier or something, it gives you their, or like a Cabal, it gives you their military regiment or whatnot. So that's going to be interesting. I think it'll add a little bit of side story, I guess you could call it. And one of the cool things is that we obviously already know this, that you can turn bounties in without having to return to the bounty board. So it's going to save us a lot of dead time of having to go back and forth, which is really awesome. Intelligence, discipline, and strength now have numerical tiers that decide their influence on your character. So it's no more percentiles and stuff like that. It's actually number values, which I think is a little bit better because, 35%, like, well, how much is that really? And, a lot of people don't like to do the math, so you just kind of guesstimate. Not that big of a difference, I guess, but it's still a difference nonetheless. New progress system where you sacrifice an existing piece of gear that belongs to the same slot. And apparently there's a new progress system where you sacrifice an existing piece of gear that belongs to the same slot. I'm not really sure what that means, and when I looked on Reddit and I saw this, they were confused too. So I really don't know what to say about this. Reading it word for word, it's some type of progress system, and then you can sacrifice an existing piece of gear that belongs in that same slot. My assumption would be that you either sacrifice that piece of gear, and maybe it's some type of transmogrification to where you can take that gear, sacrifice it, but you take on that gear shape or whatever to your other piece of gear. So if you want to that, actually, you know what? That's starting to make a lot of sense. So say you have a legendary gauntlet, and then you have young Akamera's spines, those bone gauntlets. I don't even know if I said that right, but don't judge me. What it sounds like is you can sacrifice those the young Akamera's gauntlets, and it'll dismantle them, but transfer the look over to the other piece. That's what it sounds like to me. I could absolutely totally be wrong just reading what it says word for word. A new progress system where you can sacrifice an existing piece of gear that belongs in the same slot. That's what it sounds like to me. It could be transmog, but again, we'll see. Another cool thing is the tower and its NPCs have been retooled to offer quests or stories into the world as you level up your character from 1 to 40. So that means the Cryptarch, the Gunsmith, all these other people are going to actually have quests and stuff for you to do, which is really cool. I'm sure the Cryptarch's quests are probably going to be pretty shitty, as he's probably going to try and troll us, but we'll see. It'd be nice if you could just punch him in the face. Like, if you could throw down, I'd throw down on the Cryptarch. And then the entire base game and expansions have been retooled for narrative and access purposes to make it much more sense. So basically, when you meet the Queen for the first time, the reef will be open, so you don't have to go through all the BS to get to the reef, which is actually going to be really cool, really helpful, especially for new Guardians. So kudos to you guys. So now subclasses, old and new, have their own quest lines. Pretty cool. I don't know how that's going to affect the veteran Guardians. Like, do we have to redo these quests to gain our, our subclasses back, or are they optional for us? We don't really know. But for the new people, I assume each one has its own quest line now. So it seems like there's going to be a lot of content, is from what I'm understanding so far. The gunsmith now has rep, and the higher your rep, the more prototype weapons he offers for you to test in the field. So that's pretty interesting. Like, what are these proto weapons that I don't know, are they like the, whatever you call it, the husk of the pit, where you level it up and it eventually becomes an exotic? That's pretty interesting to see. Reaching a certain rep with Banshee allows you access to Arms Day, a weekly purchase that allows you to order legendary guns with Glimmer. That sounds pretty cool. Hopefully the guns are actually worth it though. Crucible and Vanguard marks are gone. Dun dun dun. Which is pretty cool. They've been transformed or transferred over to something called legendary marks for legendary vendor purchases. So that's pretty cool. I guess they just combined both of them together into one. So I guess that works out for everybody, because those that don't play PvP are missing out on, some decent weapons, and vice versa. Those that only play PvP are missing out on some decent, Vanguard weapons. So it's a good way to combine it for, I guess, for the sake of blending the community. Class-specific materials needed for upgrading are gone. Hadronic essences, armor plating, all that cool stuff have been replaced by armor materials, making it easier to utilize materials from one character towards another. So basically you don't have to worry about collecting all that. It's universal across all your characters, which is incredibly freaking helpful. Because I know when I first did my Titan, and I'm actually working on a Warlock right now, it was really hard getting the materials, because then you had to like do all this weapon or armor stuff, and it was just a pain in the ass trying to get all the stuff that I needed to level up my gear that I had. And you are no longer forced to wear a class item when leveling up New Monarchy, Dead Orbit, or future war cults. You pledge to each faction, apparently. I guess that means that no matter what you do, you're leveling up all three of them at the same time. I guess that's pretty cool. I never really had a problem with it either way, because I don't really use, I don't need future war cult, so I would never, the way that I have my classes set up, I don't use their stat perks, though I did like Dead Orbit's colors and sometimes their weapons, and I like their gear and the way it looked, but its stats weren't beneficial to my playstyle, which sucked, so I had to go with I think it was New Monarchy, maybe, I forget. I'm rambling on at this point. So you can also turn in materials to the factions or whatever, the New Monarchy, Dead Orbit, etc. for rep. So it's basically like with the speaker and the Glimmer thing, you turn into materials to him and you get Glimmer. Well, you can turn them into them and you can get reps. So that's kind of cool. I'll take that. I'll definitely take that. And then there is a new system that records all shaders, and once you've gained it, you're able to choose from them anytime you visit the system. And it says it also shows you shaders that you don't have and how to obtain them. That's pretty cool, because there's a lot of shaders that even to this day I probably still don't know exist, nor do I know how to get them. And a lot of them apparently are just like RNG based. And I see a lot of times where people want like the Dead Orbit shader, I think it's called Bitter Steel. I have it, but my Dead Orbit rank's like 9, and then some people have grinded to like 71 and they still haven't gotten it. So that's kind of crappy. So hopefully this way, it kind of limits the grind for these things and there's the random RNG-ness of it all. So, and that, I mean, that also goes for emblems. So that'll be kind of cool because I know on the new armory tracker thing that's on the Bungie.net, it shows you the emblems, but it doesn't really give you a specific. It says you can pick these up from the special orders vendor, but it doesn't really say how you get them. So that's, you know, that'll be helpful as well. So you can, you know, I guess work towards the emblem that you actually want and stuff like that. So like a little meta game, I guess, which is pretty nice. And new exotics are tied into quest lines, so I guess that means that everyone has a chance to get one. And again, it's not RNG's based, which again is really helpful. Railgun fusion rifle heavy weapon exotic. That sounds pretty fucking amazing. First of all, you had me at rail, and then you really had me at gun. Fusion rifle, I'm not really sure how that's going to turn into a heavy, unless it's like the one from like one of those weird, I don't know, battleships or something. Nonetheless, I'm interested to see how that's going to look and how that's going to work because it sounds just fucking amazing. And of course we get our 8 new Crucible maps. Hopefully they're balanced enough. We'll cross our fingers on that one. So far they've been pretty good. There's been 1 or 2 that are just kind of not really good for true competitiveness. There will be weekly Crucible and Trials bounties. Complete all 5 of the weeklies for the week and you gain access to a 6th that has a chance to reward you either a legendary or exotic. That's pretty cool. It actually makes you try and grind all the bounties. So that's, you know, that's pretty neat. I like what they're doing there. Endgame that explores previous endgame and furthers to story even after finishing story missions. So basically after the endgame, I guess there's more sub-endgame content that you can explore, like Vault of Glass and I guess Crota's End. I'm not really sure what to tell you on that other than it really sounds interesting. I know most of this sounds interesting, but yeah, so that's pretty interesting. I don't really know what to say other than it's interesting. And they are introducing bosses or mechanics that aren't purely bullet spongy. And if you're unfamiliar with a bullet sponge, it's just basically someone who just absorbs ridiculous amounts of damage. They just like stand there and take it. So I assume that they're going to be more interactive with what we do and the environment. So it would be like an example of Crota jumping off the bridge and chasing you around. He wasn't supposed to do that, but he did sometimes. So it would be something like that is how I would see it. Like he would, if, you know, we all went to one side, maybe go to the other side or try and rush us. So expect interactive boss fights, which is going to make it, I would assume, a hell of a lot more difficult. And then finally, Crucible has a mercy rule. Basically, if your team's just getting stomped hard, the game was just going to go ahead and end on the mercy rule, so you don't have to bear through it, and you don't have to quit out, and you don't lose your sanity, and, you know, like some people that I know, myself, go cry in the shower. So yeah, that's basically a rundown. I didn't really want to like go all too in-depthy, you know, with each, because there's really a lot of stuff that just went down. So I just kind of briefly touched up on it, so you can, you know, skim over it. Hopefully, you know, we haven't, you know, taken too much time. I mean, but again, that's just the quickest rundown I could come up with. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you want to actually look at this information, I'll post a link in the description. Most of it came from Reddit. There's a summary post on Reddit, so you can look at it there, discuss it with everybody. And with that being said, I really hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something, and let me know what you're excited for with the Taken King. And until next time, peace.